Shenanigans.
You mean shenanigans?
Shenanigans. Evil shenanigans.
Shenanigans, right?
So now what made you start deciding to collect comic books? At what point did you start collecting?
So I started collecting comic books when I was a kid. So my grandparents had my mom's and uncle's comic book collections down in like one of the rooms, and as kids, us kids would go over there and hang out and read comic books. Mm-hmm. And so I grew up with like old Spider-Man's, Daredevil, Legion Superheroes. And then as I got older, 82 G.I. Joes came out, like the toys. And so for Christmas one year, we got G.I. Joe toys and fell in love with G.I. Joe. So then I saw G.I. Joe comics. And
yeah, before that, didn't they have Star Wars little G.I. Joe little Star Wars guys? Or was that about the same time?
Those came out in 77. So when the first movie came out,
gotcha.
Those came out. And then, so G.I. Joe didn't come out until 82.
I remember the cartoon when I was a kid. That had to come out later in the 80s, though, didn't it?
Yes, I think that was like 84, 85.
Yeah, because I remember that one pretty well.
And pretty much the cartoon was just a commercial for the toys.
Yeah, right. So I liked that cartoon because it had all of the neat airplanes and all the things. And you're right, I think it was just a, hey, go buy stuff from Mattel. You know, if I remember correctly, wasn't Mattel? Wasn't that the...
Hasbro.
Hasbro, that's it, Hasbro. But yeah, they had the planes and the aircraft carriers, and don't you have a bunch of that stuff? Because your main is G.I. Joe, isn't that your main comic?
My main fandom is G.I. Joe. So yeah, I have the flag, the USS aircraft carrier, or USS flag, which is the aircraft carrier, the Defiant.
And by the way, this aircraft carrier is like the size of my desk. It's
bigger.
It's not a little thing. It's huge.
7.5 feet long and like 3.5 feet wide.
It's a small golf cart. Huge.
I have a 6-foot table with an 8 by 4 foot sheet of plywood on that's screwed down on top of it, and that's what holds.
Yeah, that's got to be like the mother load, though, right? That's got to be their biggest and baddest and most expensive.
It's the biggest toy set ever made.
Set. So individual toys and cars and now if I remember right, wasn't there a bridge builder?
Yes.
Like a thing that would put the bridge down and drive over. It's like a little tank or something like that.
Yeah.
I think I had that one. That's about the extent of my G.I. Joe collection when I was a kid.
I have 2 of those.
So then they had the most action figures, base, and vehicles.
Yeah, there's like 500 figures that were made from so the main G.I. Joe stuff, that I collect is 82 to 94.
Oh, okay. So the original.
And there's like 500 figures and 250 vehicles.
Jesus.
So there's a lot.
Different ones?
So some of it's the same person. Like there's, I don't know, a whole bunch of like Snake Eyes that up through now. But at the time there was like 82 Snake Eyes, 85 Snake Eyes, 89 Snake Eyes, 91 Snake Eyes.
So they changed them just a little bit to make them special for the year. Would they use the 2 same people for Cobra and G.I. Joe?
Say that?
Like the same action figure and just paint them different?
They did that sometimes. A couple times where they used parts off of one later on, but it's on a different, repainted and on a different figure.
Right. So they do the same thing with vehicles? Like the G.I. Joes had this, Cobra had this, or they all do different completely?
Well, no, they had G.I. Joe had some, Cobra had some, but then they had subsets. So like they have Tiger Force. So Tiger Force, everything's like yellow tiger stripes on it.
Huh.
Different paint job. And so they took other vehicles. So like they have a Tiger Rat, which is, I think that's the Rattler. And then they have like, there's the Ferret is a little tiny quad. And so then they have the Tiger Paw, which is Tiger Force version of that.
I see. So they did a spin-off of them, kind of.
Yeah. So then they have Python Patrol, and Python Patrol is different schemes. Python Patrol is like Cobra figures.
Right.
And so it's different vehicles with their paint job. And then they had Night Force. Like Night Force is the more expensive toys.
Oh.
And so everything's like black with red accents, and it's worth a lot of money. And it was Toys R Us only.
So it was a limited production type thing?
Yeah, because it was only Toys R Us back in the day.
Was that also... So was it Toys R Us brand, or was it Hasbro?
No, it was Hasbro, but it was only sold through Toys R Us.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, like...
You think they had any idea that it was going to turn out to be that big or worth this much money today?
I had no idea, but, like, A friend of mine growing up, like his mom made him like he had to pretty much check out his toys, and then if we went and played, he had to check his toys back in, pretty much. So like he had to keep everything nice, couldn't play in the dirt, and we were out like playing in the dirt, and things got lost and
Sure.
things. But we loved our toys and played with our toys. But then some people, it's also why some of the toys are so expensive now. So like some of those Night Force toys, they come in like 2-packs. And if they're still in the package, it's looking at $500-$600
Jesus.
for 2 action figures that you'll never play with.
That's ridiculous.
But they look cool sitting there.
Well, I think it's pretty neat that people are into this, because having nostalgia is part of being American. Americana is G.I. Joe figures. It's Barbie figures. It's, that's part of what we do, man. We're Americans. We live by, stories and, watching cartoons and cool movies and baseball games and football. And it's just one way of them, putting together old Wild West stories in a different way. And that's what I always talked about. If you watch, I like Asian cinema. So if you ever watch like Kung Fu movies, Kung Fu movies are no different than, Wild Bill. All right. The guy can shoot 8 people with a 6-shooter, they're not real. They're based on stories told for years and years and years. These ones they've got a whole franchise behind it, and it's unlimited. Still to this day, they're making movies. I don't know. I've always been a big fan of G.I. Joe. I'm not so much that I buy all their stuff or had comic books or anything, but
I got 3 G.I. Joe tattoos. So.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Josh got a couple tattoos. You notice he's got you see the Jeep one and
my Boba Fett
well, yeah, no. you got a Boba Fett.
So
yeah, they're pretty funny.
Yeah.
There you go.
There. So.
Yeah, he's got nerd tattoos, right? And then on the knuckles, he's got all the different. You have to get up to the camera there, a little closer. He's got a bunch of different Marvel characters. Let it. Too
much glare.
Give it a second. It'll. So there's Deadpool and Boba Fett and Wolverine. Who do you have on the end there? Punisher. Ah. So yeah, which is kind of fun.
You mean Shananigans?
Shenanigans. Evil shenanigans.
Shenanigans, right?
Shananigans.